What if I told you that some of R&B's most unforgettable stars didn't just fade from the charts, they vanished without a single trace? One moment, they were lighting up the stage with soulful melodies and smooth grooves, and the next, they disappeared like ghosts in the night. No farewell tours, no final albums, not even a goodbye. These are 14 R&B stars who vanished without a trace, and their stories will leave you stunned. 14. Genuine. Back in the late 90s, Genuine was every R&B fan's obsession. With hits like Pony and Differences, his mix of sensual lyrics and magnetic stage moves made him a heartthrob across the world. But as the 2000s rolled in, that unstoppable energy slowly started to fade. The man who once defined sexy, soulful music seemed to vanish from the charts. Behind the smooth vocals and fame, Genuine faced heavy losses, both personal and emotional. Tragedy struck his family, his group TGT fell apart, and he began stepping away from the public eye. Though he still performs here and there, it's clear the spotlight doesn't shine on him like it once did. His presence became rare, almost like a ghost from R&B's golden era. Genuine didn't crash out in scandal, he just quietly drifted away, leaving fans wondering where that confident star with the leather jacket and unforgettable groove really went. 13. Mario Winans. When Mario Winans released I Don't Wanna Know in the early 2000s, he created a masterpiece that captured heartbreak in its purest form. The song became a global anthem, topping charts and dominating radio waves. But after that explosive success, Mario did what few expected: he disappeared. Behind the scenes, he was producing and writing for others, but his own voice faded into silence. Fame didn't seem to hold him. He retreated to the shadows, away from flashing cameras and public attention. Rumors floated about label issues, creative frustration, and his choice to focus on faith and family instead. Years passed, and that haunting voice that fans fell in love with became a rare sound. In an industry where many chase attention, Mario Winans chose mystery. He left behind one unforgettable hit and then quietly vanished, becoming one of R&B's most puzzling disappearances. 12. Shanice. Shanice had one of the brightest smiles in R&B, literally and musically. Her hit, I Love Your Smile, lit up the early 90s, and her voice carried a warmth that felt impossible to forget. She was young, talented, and full of energy, with every sign of a superstar in the making. But as the music industry changed, Shanice quietly slipped out of the spotlight. She didn't crash or burn out, she simply disappeared from the mainstream radar. Rumors said she chose family over fame, and that much was true. After marrying actor Flex Alexander, Shanice focused on raising her children and living a life far removed from red carpets and record deals. Every now and then, she'd reappear in small performances or reality shows, but that early fire of fame never fully returned. Shanice's story isn't one of tragedy, it's one of peace. Yet for fans who grew up loving her joyful sound, her disappearance from the charts still feels like R&B lost a piece of its sunshine. 11. Case. Case had that classic 90 seconds R&B charm, a mix of vulnerability and smooth vocals that made songs like Missing You and Touch Me, Tease Me timeless. He was the kind of artist who didn't need flashy gimmicks, just his voice and emotion. But after a few years of steady hits, Case's presence started to fade. One moment he was topping the charts, and the next, it was silence. Some say it was label politics. Others believe he simply lost interest in chasing fame. What's clear is that Case never chased the spotlight again. He released a few independent projects over the years, but they came and went quietly, like whispers in the wind. Still, when Missing You plays today, listeners can't help but wonder where he went and if that soft-spoken singer ever realized how deeply his songs still touch people. 10. Kelis. Kelis wasn't just an R&B artist, she was a full-blown revolution. With her bold look, unapologetic lyrics, and genre-bending sound, she shook up the late 90s and early 2000s. Milkshake became a global hit, and her fearless energy made her one of the most exciting voices of her time. But just when it felt like she was unstoppable, Kelis seemed to disappear from the music scene altogether. After personal struggles, label issues, and a very public divorce, she walked away from mainstream fame and focused on something completely different: cooking. She trained as a chef, released a cookbook, and started her own food business. While the world kept asking where her music went, Kellis found joy in reinventing herself. Her voice may not be blasting on the radio anymore, but her presence still lingers, a reminder that sometimes vanishing isn't about defeat. It's about choosing a new path when the old one no longer fits. 9. Donell Jones. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Donell Jones was the sound of smooth R&B. Songs like Where I Wanna Be and You Know What's Up ruled the airwaves, capturing love, heartbreak, and everything in between. His voice had that rare mix of pain and passion that made every lyric hit home. But as the years rolled on, Donell's name began to fade. The man who once defined late-night playlists slowly drifted out of the spotlight. It wasn't scandal or controversy that took him away, it was choice. After years of fame and fast living, Donell stepped back to focus on faith and family. He released music independently, but his quiet lifestyle kept him out of the mainstream's reach. For a singer who once had millions hanging on every word, his sudden silence felt almost haunting. Donell Jones didn't vanish because he failed. He simply chose peace over pressure. 8. Jon B. Jon B was the cool, laid-back voice that blurred the line between pop and R&B in the 90s. With hits like They Don't Know and Someone to Love, he earned respect from legends like Babyface and Tupac. He wasn't just talented, he was different, a white artist fully embraced by R&B audiences for his smooth sound and real emotion. But after years of steady success, Jon B started to fade from view. As the R&B scene shifted toward a new generation, Jon's timeless style no longer fit the fast-paced trends. He kept making music for loyal fans, but mainstream attention disappeared. Some thought he retired. Others didn't even realize he was still performing. Quietly, Jon B became one of R&B's most overlooked veterans, still gifted, still soulful, but hidden from the fame he once owned. His disappearance wasn't dramatic, just gradual, a slow fade of one of the genre's most authentic voices. 7. Adina Howard. Adina Howard came in loud, fierce, and fearless. With Freak Like Me, she broke every rule, pushing boundaries and owning her sexuality in a way that shook the 90s music scene. She was bold when others played it safe, and for a moment, it looked like nothing could stop her rise. Then, suddenly, she vanished. Behind the scenes, label conflicts and industry backlash took a toll on her career. Adina wasn't one to play by anyone's rules, and that independence came at a cost. Instead of conforming, she walked away. Years later, she admitted she wanted a normal life away from the chaos of fame. While she still performs occasionally, her mainstream moment ended long ago. For fans, Adina's sudden disappearance remains one of R&B's biggest what-ifs, a superstar who burned bright, refused to bow down, and disappeared on her own terms. 6. Tweet. In 2002, Tweet's song, Oops Oh My, hit the airwaves like a storm. Her voice was smooth, sultry, and refreshingly unique, instantly setting her apart from everyone else in the R&B scene. Backed by Missy Elliott and Timbaland, Tweet seemed destined for superstardom. But after her breakout success, everything went quiet. One moment, she was climbing charts. The next, she was gone. Behind that sudden silence were personal struggles, industry delays, and a long battle to regain creative control. Tweet later revealed she faced deep depression and needed time to heal. By the time she returned, the sound of R&B had changed, and the spotlight had shifted elsewhere. Though she released more music years later, the world had largely moved on. Tweet's soft, haunting voice remains unforgettable, but her quiet retreat made her one of the genre's most mysterious disappearances. 5. Mia. Mia was the definition of late 90s and early 2000s R&B. She danced, sang, and dazzled with hits like Case of the X and My Love Is Like, Whoa. She won Grammys, ruled MTV, and worked alongside icons like Jay-Z and Missy Elliott. Then, suddenly, she was gone from the charts. No scandal, no meltdown, just gone. The truth? Mia never stopped working, she just stopped chasing fame. Tired of the industry's politics, she went independent, quietly releasing albums on her own terms. Her fans followed, but mainstream attention didn't. Instead of fading from lack of talent, Mia transformed her career into something peaceful and personal. Still beautiful, still gifted, she became a ghost of her former fame, proof that even queens can choose to vanish with grace. 4. Cisco. When Thong Song dropped, Cisco became a cultural phenomenon. His platinum hair, wild energy, and unforgettable stage presence made him a household name overnight. As the lead singer of Dru Hill and a solo artist, he had everything: hits, fame, and an army of fans. But after that explosive rise, his career took an unexpected turn. Follow-up albums struggled, and the world that once worshipped his flashy style suddenly moved on. Behind the glitz, Cisco faced label disputes and personal setbacks that pushed him out of the mainstream spotlight. He still tours and performs, but his fame now feels like a distant echo of what once was. Cisco didn't vanish completely, but that unstoppable fire that once ruled R&B quietly burned out, leaving behind a legend wrapped in nostalgia. 3. Blue Cantrell. When Hit 'Em Up style Oops exploded in 2001, Blue Cantrell seemed unstoppable. Her mix of sharp lyrics, jazzy vocals, and fierce attitude made her a standout in R&B. The song topped charts worldwide, and everyone expected her to become one of the genre's biggest stars. Then, just like that, she was gone. After releasing her second album, Blue's career went quiet. No big tours, no major headlines, no new hits. Rumors swirled about label issues, personal struggles, and an exhausting battle with fame. She occasionally appeared in small interviews or shows, but never truly made a comeback. The woman who once ruled radio seemed to fade into thin air. Even today, fans still wonder what happened to that powerful voice that demanded everyone's attention. Blue Cantrell didn't just step away, she vanished, leaving behind one unforgettable anthem and a silence that feels almost haunting. 2. Tevin Campbell. Tevin Campbell was the golden boy of early 90 seconds R&B. With a voice smooth enough to stop time, he gave us classics like Can We Talk and I'm Ready. He was young, confident, and destined for legend status. Then, without warning, that bright light dimmed. Tevin went from award stages to near silence, his name fading from the charts almost overnight. Behind the scenes, the pressure of fame, label changes, and personal struggles took a toll. He tried to reinvent himself, but the industry that once embraced him had already moved on. In time, Tevin found peace outside the fame that once consumed him, occasionally resurfacing for performances and interviews. Though the world may have forgotten, his voice remains untouched, a gentle reminder of an artist who didn't lose his talent, just his desire for the spotlight. 1. Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill wasn't just an artist, she was a revelation. The miseducation of Lauryn Hill changed everything, redefining what R&B, soul, and hip-hop could be. She won Grammys, sold millions, and inspired an entire generation. Yet, at the peak of her greatness, Lauryn did something unthinkable. She disappeared. She stepped away from fame, from labels, from everything that once defined her. Whispers of exhaustion, spiritual struggle, and distrust of the industry followed her exit. Years later, her rare performances and unpredictable appearances only deepened the mystery. Fans begged for a comeback, but Lauryn never seemed interested in reclaiming her crown. She had seen behind the curtain of fame and decided she didn't want it anymore. Lauryn Hill's vanishing act wasn't a fall, it was a choice. The world lost one of its most gifted voices, but in her silence, she became something rarer, a legend untouched by time. Fame can be a beautiful illusion, bright, loud, and unforgettable, but as these R&B stars proved, it can also vanish in an instant. Some walked away to find peace. Others were pushed out by a ruthless industry, and a few simply disappeared without warning. Their voices once ruled our radios. Their songs played at every party, every heartbreak, but now, they're whispers of a golden era that's slowly fading. It makes you wonder, how can someone so famous become a mystery so quickly? Where do all the stars go when the spotlight turns off? If you love this, Look into R&B's forgotten legends. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the next story might just be about your favorite artist who disappeared without a trace.